So if we can zoom out a little bit, I think India wanted to be, I don't know, like I remember Abdul Kalam wanted India to become like a developed country by 2020. My understanding is that Modi wants India to become a developed country by 2047. I think that's the Viksit Bharat agenda. Um, in the travels that you did and the reading that you do, what do you where do you think India will be by 2047, maybe 2050? Are you optimistic? What are this? Yeah, if you can maybe.
Yeah. Um, so what is the threshold for being a developed country? I don't even know the number. Top maybe whatever, $15,000 per capita or something, 10, 15, 20, somewhere around there. I I think it's unlikely by 2047 that it'll pass the exact threshold. It's possible, but it'll eventually get there. I think the things that I'm optimistic about with India, as you said, there's an abundance of talent in particular areas, especially technology. And I think more recently, in the past couple decades, there's more of an elite consensus around the value of markets, of competition, of growth itself, which wasn't always the case. Like having a culture of growth itself, and the belief that hey, we can actually build something or change institutions or do something that improves things, is improvement mentality. You know, is not always there in societies and hasn't always been there throughout history. That's what Joel Mokyr, last year's Nobel laureate, will show. And I did feel that traveling around India, especially in particular cities like Bangalore. So that's fundamentally makes me optimistic. And then you do see improvements, massive improvements on infrastructure, right? You see the capital expenditure on improving roads, ports, bridges, etc., is huge. Digital infrastructure is much improved. These are sort of the foundations, the building blocks of growth. The capital markets are in a significantly better position today than they were a decade ago, when people were calling India as part of the fragile five, balance of payments, foreign exchange crises. Now you have a pretty healthy financial sector. It's possible to get credit at a much lower interest rate than then. Yeah, these are all the building blocks, and so I think that's why I think the 6 to 7% feels I'm positive on it. I do think, back to the AI conversation, that is the sort of looming question. And I kind of go back and forth on this because, on one hand, as a share of the overall economy, even though IT exports are 20-25% of IT is about 20-25% of exports, India doesn't export that much. And so the share of the overall economy, it's actually not that big. Maybe most of the economy will actually be complementary to AI. You can imagine there are lots of deficits in terms of expertise that India suffers from currently. Like lots of the country doesn't have good access to doctors or healthcare for diagnoses, or even for education, access to good teachers. That's, AI is an amazing teacher. It can be an amazing doctor for certain types of conditions. And so you can imagine that this actually could be a huge boon to economic growth. Like fundamentally, right? Like what is growth? It's developing new capabilities, it's solving new problems. And AI should help you solve more problems, and it gives you a lot more capability. So if you adopt it the right way, I I see it actually as a positive. And so yeah, will it be a developed country by 2047, 2050? I don't know. Maybe I'm slightly bearish on that exact threshold, but the overall trajectory of the country sounds like a crazy AI scenario I'm relatively optimistic about.